listen, he took the bait. He was asked point blank, and he took the bait. And this is why we love Draymond, because he gives us something to talk about, because he's not just going to give you the PC answer. He's going to say what's on his mind. And it's not that he's wrong, but, guys, this takes a lot of nerve. A lot of nerve, because Draymond is sitting next to KD. So when the topic of competition in each conference is brought up, and he directs it towards the Cavs. Look, we were playing a Utah team, and I agree with him, that continued to fight. And Cleveland seems to come up against teams that roll over a little bit more than, let's say, the teams Golden State plays. You know, okay, maybe that's LeBron's psychological whammy on the league. Maybe Cleveland's also just that good. Maybe the Eastern teams, conference teams, are not quite as good, whatever. But the big picture is he's sitting next to KD. And the real reason the Warriors have no opposition to getting to the finals. You know no one's going to stop them. Even Houston with a puncher's chance. They got no wins against Golden State. Not really. The reason that is because they took the best player off the primary competition away from them and added him to their team. It wasn't just about adding KD. They also weakened Oklahoma City, who took them to a Game 7. I mean, I was at Stephen A. We saw each other at Game 7 last year of the Western Conference Finals. That was like a prize fight heading into that game. And if not for a fourth quarter collapse, they advanced past Golden State. So for Draymond to sit up there and take the bait, he was asked point blank, and talk about the teams the Cavs are playing while sitting next to KD, it takes a lot of nerve.
Well, I will say this. I think KD is right in terms of we treat these athletes like they're not supposed to have an opinion. They are entitled to their opinion, and we should agree or disagree with them without excoriating them just because they have an opinion that differs from ours. That's basically was what KD was alluding to, and I think he's right about that. But I also think he's not telling the whole story, because part of the problem as to why athletes may feel they can't have an opinion is because they either backtrack too much, or because they have an opinion and somebody challenges it, they take it so personally, as opposed to just saying, that's my opinion, whether you agree or disagree. Right. That's why I applaud the manner in which Draymond Green handled it. Because Draymond Green said, this is just how I feel, this is my opinion. Now, having said all of that, I think he's totally wrong. I think it's been equally as easy for Golden State as it has been for Cleveland. If you remember that first round playoff series against Indiana, first two games were relatively tight. A matter of fact, 3 of the 4 games were relatively tight. Paul George, he hits a shot for crying out loud. I mean, you got people joking on social media. You know that commercial he made where he shoots and then turns around and walks away or what have you. Now they had him shooting that brick with 1.9 seconds left that could have ended up tying the game. So in game 3. So we see stuff like that, and we recognize the fact that, again, both of them have had relatively tough games here or there, or relatively tough half here or there. But the collision course is the collision course. We've known forever it's coming down to Golden State and Cleveland, barring injury, and that's what we find ourselves doing. Of course, there's interesting games when Houston goes against San Antonio, Boston goes against Washington, et cetera, et cetera. But if you're looking at it from a macro perspective and you are thinking about championship, we know what the collision course entails, and what we find ourselves doing, even more so than enjoying the games, is praying that nobody gets hurt on either side, so there are no excuses. First time 2 years ago, Kevin Love goes down against Boston. Kyrie goes down in overtime of Game 1 of the NBA Finals. Last year, Steph Curry, 73-9 season, exhaustion, fatigue, hurt, whatever excuse you want to use, they weren't 100%. Now, we've seen them take rest. We've seen them take breaks and reprieves. We've seen all of this other stuff. And all we want is for both teams to get to the finals healthy, so there is absolutely, positively no excuses whatsoever. Once and for all settled. That's what we're having here. As far as I'm concerned, Draymond is wrong when he says it's been easier for the Cavs than it's been for them. Not true. Equally easy or equally difficult, whatever word, verbiage you want to use.
But the Western Conference is better than the Eastern Conference, right?
It is. It is.
Right. So they will have ultimately a tougher road to the finals. He's not wrong about that. But
that's because of San Antonio. That's because, no, he was talking about what they experienced already
so far,
as opposed to what's coming. Right. That's what I'm only alluding to thus far. I'm only alluding to thus far.